I was doing these shows in New Zealand. We had to apply to the government to see if they could still go ahead. And then we kind of flew to New Zealand, stayed in the quarantine hotel. There was a trivia quiz every night to keep the morale of the hotel guests up. The number one prize for that trivia quiz was an extra night stay at the hotel. I don't know who came up with that, but that is fantastic.
This is What a Joke
with Tom Papa and Fortune Feimster
on Netflix is a Joke Radio.
Do you guys wind down for Christmas? Do you get giddy about that?
We do.
Yeah, I actually did just put up a Christmas tree. That's big for me.
Oh, you
nice.
did?
Yeah, I forgot to tell you that.
Yeah. Way to bury the lead.
Yeah. Are you in London? Is that where you live?
I am, yes.
It seems very festive over there.
Yeah, it's sort of, I always get a bit weird about Christmas. I mean, I love it, but I always find it sort of oddly traumatic. You never quite know what's going to leap out of your relatives' mouths. Do you know
That's true.
They're now so wary of me that I'm going to then put it into my sort of stand-up act. But 2 years ago, my mum said, this is why I think of it during the Christmas meal, I don't see the point of flavored condoms. It's not like my vagina can taste. And it's like, it's a solid point. There's logic there, but it's not the time.
Right. I have a feeling this contributed to you wanting to be a comedian. It's colorful people in your family.
I think it's the same with all of us, that you sort of, they either don't talk and you want them to talk, or they talk too much and you want them to shut up, and you sort of realize the further we get into stand-up that we've been made by our environment, and you realize that we've taken on that horrible moment where you're like, I'm my dad, I'm my mum, I'm my auntie, and then you have those lovely moments where you're so delighted to be related to them,
Yeah. It was cool. I very rarely see this where someone comes out with a special and a documentary at the same time. Yeah. And it was very cool because it was to see the fraught nature of the pandemic, and you were getting ready to go on your tour and do all this stuff, and then roll into isolation where you just have this documentary with you and your parents and padding around the house. And then to see the ultimate end of all of that with the special, which is very funny, was a very cool thing. But the one thing that really caught me in the documentary, because I have a similar aspect, is that your mom is the one who gave you the comedy, but your dad is the one that gave you the drive. And your dad kind of took offense to it, that he wanted you to know, no, I tell him he's great all the time.
Yeah. but the phrase he used, it's that weird thing, because I haven't really watched the documentary, and then I kind of watched it back. Yeah. And it's like a hyper version of listening to your own voice. Do you know what I mean?
It's rough.
God! But it's the line where my dad says, I tell him he's great. I'll use phrases like flavors of excellence, which is it's so vague. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, hey, did you enjoy the show? There were flavors of excellence. It's like, come on, we know what we're like, just even if you didn't. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, yeah.
Totally.
Why are you wearing makeup? It's not that you knew that there was a camera coming and you've got makeup on.
No, I didn't.
Is he wearing mascara?
Why don't you shave that tidy?
I would ask the same of you.
My mum loves the fact that I do stand-up. Like, she'll come to the same show 20 times in a row and still laugh. And I'm like, you've seen it.
Yeah, but I forget.
Does he like you for anything?
No, he didn't like, so I wanted to put the pictures. He said, I'm not a shrine. Should we put them out? I mean, they're wonderful. This is a painting I did of him years ago, in my kitchen years ago. He hates it, of course.
I mean, it's just creepy, isn't it? Who paints their son?
I don't know what lockdown was like for you guys, but I realized, and I've got lots of friends who are musicians as well, but it really made me kind of fall in love with our art form again. That was what got me through. Just the idea that you could wake up and try and write jokes and get lost in those jokes or those thoughts, knowing that eventually there would be an audience again. Yeah. And then moment when we all got to kind of connect with our audience, not to sound too wanky, but they were really special gigs, weren't they? That feeling when you were like, I'm happy, you're happy, this is gonna, and this is this is England I'm talking about. We don't,
Mhm.
you know, we don't normally have that level of giddiness. But I think I heard whoops last July, and that is,
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
you don't hear that over here.
I also didn't realize that you came up with Oliver, John Oliver.
Yeah, he's a good mate of mine. Yeah, so I used to support John Oliver and a comedian called Daniel Kitson over here on tour around
Right.
universities. And John's brilliant. He's incredible, but he was, you know, he would always steer you away from, shall we say, mainstream bits and pieces. And so I would just be like, you know, I'd try to do something. This, I don't know. I'm like 19. Like I stumble into a bit. There's a little bit hack. It's working. I can always see John at the back of the room, just kind of like waggling a finger. You know what I mean? The best comedy older brother, and everyone's laughing, and yet you can see him going, no. Come on. This is not, we listened to George Carlin on the way, and this is not George Carlin, is it?
Hilarious. You're like, but they're laughing.
Yeah, exactly.
Slogans don't work. We're British. What do we do with slogans? Ignore them. Every beer in this country, drink responsibly. Exactly. Nobody in this country drinks responsibly. Weekends in this land are like the fucking purge. Just... You have 2 days to live, England. Kill or be killed. We get so hammered, we look like those things you see outside garages. You know those things?
Is it a pretty supportive comedy community over there in general?
I don't know what it's like in the States, but there's not many dicks over here. Everyone's kind of cool, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice.
There's a couple dicks here, but not
yeah, there's
that
some
many.
dicks.
Yeah.
Not a ton.
I remember doing a gig in Finland, and do you know the sort of children's nursery rhyme, Polly Put the Kettle
I don't know
on?
that one.
No.
Yeah, nor did the Finnish. I had this bit that was it's really funny in the UK about just, you know, that Jack's climbing a beanstalk and the boys in the nursery rhymes are doing all these cool things. And we have a nursery rhyme over here where Polly puts the kettle on. And it was a disparaging thing about, like, do you know what I mean? The Grand Old Duke of York's got 10,000 men, two Polly, all this stuff, to utter silence. Because you don't know in that moment, you're like, Jesus Christ, I am dying on my ass. But you don't know that they're going, who is Polly? What the fuck is this guy? You know?
Yeah.
This is the one that really got me. I was in Helsinki, and I saw a guy before the show. I was eating some chips down by the kind of the harbour, and this seagull kind of swooped to try and get one of his chips. And this guy grabbed, I'm not making this up, he grabbed the seagull midair and went, "Yeah!" like that, and screamed at him, like with a sort of a Finnish bellow that was like, "I've told you!" like that. And the seagull was kind of, okay. And then he kind of threw it out of the way, and it kind of flew off. Now, I retold that story again to utter silence because the crowd were looking at me as if to go, well, this is what you do if
yeah,
the
that's what you do.
trying to steal your chips, you grab
you have
him.
to put the seagull in its place.
Well, it's so nice spending time with you. Your special is really, really funny. You have it's funny when you just mentioned Carlin a little bit. There is a depth to your comedy, but it's also very silly and animated and just pure funny. It was really, you know, a lot of times we'll turn them on and you don't get through them all. But I was very excited to watch all of your special. It kept drawing me in. You're a very good comic. It was very nice having you here.
Well, you know, I'm also English, so I cannot deal with praise.
You don't have to comment.
I'll
don't
tip
have to
my
comment.
top hat to you.
You know how we do Joe's question of the day?
Yeah.
Well, Joe came up with a Joe's question of the day Christmas edition.
What is your favorite holiday memory or Christmas present you received?
I think the best gift I ever got was when I was like 10 and I really wanted this game called Shoots Away. It was a game where you were like an airplane and you would drop little plastic parachute guys and try and get it into a rotating thing below.
Pilot the plane over a target, shoots away.
And the ads were so intoxicating. I was like, I gotta get that. And I asked Santa for it, wrote a special letter, not even a list. It was just shoots away.
Shoots away.
And then I got it. And then the game wasn't as good as it was advertised.
Oh.